Mo, you all right?
Yeah.
We are live, gentlemen. We are live.
Germ's a quarterback today, I thought.
Absolutely. I'm just
Okay.
setting up everything. Welcome,
Okay.
welcome, my good people, to the Views from the 22, presented by the Scene. Views from the 22 live. We on the scene, if you know what we mean. Germ So True with the Views crew. We got Mo Schefter, Vic Jr. I'm gonna let these folks take over. We're about to send some links out, and then we're gonna get right to the show.
What's going on, beautiful people? It is a pleasure. Wow. It is a pleasure to be here. That hopefully that is not how the rest of the show will go with me stuttering all over my words. It has been a while since we went live, but we are here for it. We got plenty of football stuff to cover, from Patrick Mahomes to Jamal Adams to Lamar Jackson. Whether Jerm wants to talk about him or not, we're gonna talk about him. And we just as always, we're here to give you the highest standard of football talk with a Hooters hat on too.
Yes, we are finally back. Quarantine, brand new, whatever. We've been doing this Zoom thing forever anyway. So it wasn't going to stop us anyway. Like Mo said, I got the Hooters hat on.
Mm-hmm.
Shout out to them ladies. That's where we have our fantasy football drafts at. It's pretty fun. Other than that, man, Dakota is also on the docket, fellas. Am I correct about that?
The quarterbacks.
Dakota Rain Prescott is also.
Of course, we're gonna talk about it. Dak. There's no way we could have a show to recap everything that's been happening and not talk about the most coveted team in the NFL.
Unfortunately.
Why? Unfortunately.
You know, I mean, it's time they don't get attention, bro. That's what Jerry wants. That's what Jerry gets, and his money's gonna continue to grow. I mean, there's nothing we can do about it.
But Dallas is good for football, man. When Dallas is relevant, it's good for football.
I mean, okay, but what is relevant to us? Relevant is championship, at least threat. That's to the Views crew, at least. To those that are in the scouting life and the film analysis and just desiring to build the strongest team, nothing but a championship is accepted or acceptable.
Sure. But I don't know, man. Regardless of what, it is definitely interesting what's going on in Dallas. The fact that there's no contract yet.
Right. That's the key, though, Mo, is that it's more about the drama as opposed to winning championships, unlike what was happening in New England.
Interesting, you said was.
Is that your way of what?
Well, the dynasty's over.
Yeah, I mean, you know, everything has to come to an end.
Certainly,
right?
certainly.
What goes up must come down.
Certainly.
So,
but I think this is all just warm ups and shoot arounds until Germ So True gets ready to roll. But all these topics that me and Vic touching on, we will be touching on in greater detail on this show. So if you catch in this later after we're finished recording, you could fast forward to about 2 minutes from now because everything is going to get covered. But I think you saw what we've been talking about, like our football conversations. One way or another, at some point, we will start talking about quarterbacks, and that just speaks to how important they are. That is the most important position in all of professional team sports, and you know, the impact is great. The impact is bar none. And Dak, whether you think he's on the level of whether you think his potential is the Tom Brady, Pat Mahomes, Russell Wilson's, or whether you think he is on the same level as, you know, Matt Ryan's and Phillip Rivers and Matt Stafford's and Ryan Tannehill's and all those guys, regardless, Dak is worth $35 million because he is not only, and it's not only about what he brings on the field, It's about putting butts in seats. It's about selling jerseys. It's about all this stuff being marketable as a football team. And you're just not going to be marketable as a football team without a quarterback. It's just that simple.
Right. And, it's professional sports. Professional sports in America, and business takes over the results.
Indeed.
That's for sure what happened.
Indeed. Indeed. I mean, we were talking about this last night, and then I'm gonna let Jerm have the floor. I'm running. We came out of the gate running the Wildcat, but Jerm's gonna take over here soon. We were talking about last night about Dallas and everything, and how they are worth what they're worth when you have teams like the Yankees, 26, 27, 28, 29 world championships, whatever it is. You have teams like Real Madrid, teams like Barcelona, and yet here are the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, I'm sorry, here are the New England Patriots now in that category. Say what you want. The only reason they're in that category is because of the quarterback that's been there for the last 20 years.
Point blank, whatever other terminology you can put in there, period.
And with that, we're going to go under center, and we're going to run our first scripted plays. Mr. So True.
Yo, so again, we appreciate y'all for tuning in. As I said, the Scene presents Views from the 22 live. We're gonna be doing this more often. We are back in our proverbial bags. So y'all just get ready to go ahead and get ready to receive some of these views. And that's how it's gonna go. So with that being said, the first topic of discussion for the offseason for the NFL, as we are in the August month, is we're gonna talk about Pat Mahomes and that big contract. It is a total of 10 years. And in fact, Chef, I'm gonna let you do the numbers because I always say 503. Okay. And I know you want to give the details. So go ahead.
Well, yeah. So with the Mahomes contract, it's basically a 12-year contract because he has 2 years left under his rookie deal. And then so they extended him with that. So in total, it comes out to 12 years, $503 million. He's going to average $45 million per season. But when you look at the contract, when you break down the numbers, you understand that this is a tale of two contracts, the first half and the second half. In the first half, he's going to be making under $40 million a year. Obviously, not total, but we're just talking about cap right now. It's going to be under $40 million a year. And that's fine. That's perfectly okay that he's making 37, 38 a year. Project after that, after the 5 years, when it's going to be more than that, it is going to be towards 45 million. He's got 1 year where the cap hit is going to be $60 million. $60 million. When you consider that as most recently as 2011, I believe, the salary cap was 120. So Patrick Mahomes, had he gotten this contract back then, would have taken 50% of the salary. So the numbers are absolutely astounding. However, when you break it down, and listen, I am a no contract lawyer, nor am I a contract expert. However, I do like to pride myself that I do have some common sense in this world. When you look at this contract, at some point early, starting in 2023, there's going to have to be a restructure. And 2023 is only 2 years away. So we're talking about a $12 million contract. And I'm sitting here telling you that 2 years from now, when there's 10 years left on the contract, they got to find a way to restructure this thing. Because essentially, Patrick Mahomes, from that point forward, for the next 10 years, is going to be on a year-to-year contract because the Kansas City Chiefs can cut him at any point and save money on the cap. So from 2023 to 2026, if there's no restructure, if there's nothing that they rework, it's going to get ugly. I don't think it's going to happen, but it's just something to keep an eye on because we don't know how this thing's going to play out. But I highly, 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 highly doubt that Patrick Mahomes, when we get there in 2025, is going to be sitting here with this same type of contract. Because while it looks like $500 million, in reality, it turns into a year-to-year contract. And that, my friends, is the National Football League.
A year-to-year league. So that's what you have to understand more than anything. But most of these contracts, the players are not always getting paid for what they're worth today. They're getting paid for what they were worth last year or the year before that. It's always a 1 or 2 year window. So Mahomes just won a Super Bowl. The last 2 years of Mahomes' contract, they got to the AFC Championship game and were D4'd offsides from potentially beating the New England Patriots and going to the Super Bowl. And I don't think that Rams team would have been able to stop them. So that's potentially 2 Super Bowls he would have had he not ran up against the GOAT. So, I mean, it is what it is. I think ultimately he comes out this year, he wins. I mean, again, he's at this year, the favorite thing goes in his way, where they stop running the ball and they start wanting to pass. Jimmy G misfires on a couple of throws. Mahomes get in the rhythm, and boom, we got a Super Bowl champion. So I think altogether, first of all, man, shouts out to him because he deserves the money regardless. He is one of the best players in the game of football today. If you rank him as number 1, I'm not going to be upset with you because Mahomes has played his way into being one of the top 5 players in the world and the best quarterback in the nation, in the world, in the Third Rock. Shouts out to my guy Daylight for that Third Rock reference. But with that being said, hey, it is what it is. So moving forward, Vic, I want to ask you a question, Vic.
Mm-hmm.
When we look at a contract like this, and we every year we do extensive work at scouting. Where do we actually look at Andy Reid and his ability to bring guys in for his program? Like, how do we look at him and view him as a talent evaluator or a guy who not only just evaluates, but a guy who keeps the farm rolling when it comes down to replacing older veteran players?
Yeah, I mean, he's shown a history of replacing, especially the quarterback. He's one of the best quarterback coaches in the NFL, probably in NFL history. He did a good job with Alex Smith, but it has a lot to do with how he schemes. There's a couple plays where you see receivers even lining up at a tight end position. They had a real big play in the Super Bowl actually, where they had Sammy Watkins lined up at the Y at a tight. He was lined up tight to the line of scrimmage, basically in line, and he ran a wheel route, which is basically just cutting across the field like a drag and then going up the sideline, in which the 49ers were playing a cover 2 cloud, and Pat just threw a nice ball in between the safety and the linebacker. So Reid just schemes beautifully for these quarterbacks, man. Now he has himself a quarterback that is just so physically gifted to go along with that scheme, go along with the speed that they have. It's just a beautiful, perfect match. If y'all look at it, man, the AFC since Brady left, I mean, who else is a threat now? You got Lamar and the Ravens. I mean, you know how Jerm feels about that. You got Deshaun and the no Hopkins Texans. Who else is a threat for the Chiefs right now in the AFC, bro?
Andrew Luck and the 2021 New England Patriots are going to be a threat to the Kansas City Chiefs. All right.
Yo,
but no, in all seriousness, though, Vic brings up a good point. The gatekeeper is gone. Yeah. The gatekeeper is going now to stop Aaron Rodgers and Drew Brees from getting number 2. And now the AFC is wide open, and it really is looking like Mahomes or nobody else. Pittsburgh, to me, is the most important team of this season. Hopefully we have a season. We'll talk about that a little later. But to me, Pittsburgh is the dark horse, not the dark horse. I don't want to say the dark horse, but they are the most important team in the AFC because we talked about the speed they have, the defense they have. It's all going to come down to Big Ben. How does Big Ben perform? Because I think with all the pieces they added, they're going to be good to go. But just to keep it on Mahomes, with that contract, the only person that can stop this from Mahomes in the future, as it seems, is going to be Mahomes. So what part of Kansas City made this contract just in case Mahomes hits a wall and can't get over that wall. Because at some point, every quarterback hits a wall. This league, at some point, will figure you out. No matter how much you evolve, you got to constantly evolve. There's no system, there's no scheme that gets you to be good consistently for 2 friggin' decades. You at some point, you got to be good to play in this league. At some point, to be a successful quarterback, you got to be great.
Not only that, real quick. Go ahead, Mo. I didn't know you was gonna finish.
No, I just want to say, I just want to ask y'all, like, do you think there's any chance that the Chiefs say, hey, you haven't really been performing up to what we thought you was going to be. We're going to have to let you go here in 2025, 2024, 2026.
That's where I was kind of gonna go to, is the key part for the Chiefs is how long is the skill position is gonna still be with them. That's gonna be key, because again, like Jerm said earlier, like you said earlier, it's a year-to-year sport. Tyreek Hill could be the 99 right now, and next season could be a 70 rating because he got hurt. Something happened with knee. He's not the same guy with the speed. Kelsey's already in his 30s. A lot of things can change. So it's going to come down to a situation where can Mahomes do the same things that he's doing without that speed? With not only the speed, but these kids are tremendous route runners. I am shocked at how impressive Tyreek Hill has become as a route runner. That kid, has turned out to be a really impressive receiver, and that's going to be important to see how long they have these guys together, because that's going to be key.
No doubt.
About it a little bit later. We're going to go back and forth about Russell Wilson in a little bit. Stay tuned for that. But that's going to be important, is how long they're going to be able to keep those pieces together and healthy.
And let me say this.
Go ahead, Jerm. I'm sorry.
No, let me add this in there real quick. The one thing that I really want to highlight is something that Vic just attested to, and that in itself is the skill position players have to be consistent. The number one thing is you cannot play zone against this team because of Travis Kelce. So if Travis Kelce in the next 5 years has to be moved on from, remember, that's only 3 years into this contract. So that is going to be a situation where we're going to be 2020, 2026, 2025, and we're going to be looking at this from a whole nother angle, because as Mo attested to, in 2023, it's going to be a total different look into the contract anyway. So now we're going to be looking at, okay, can they replace the tight end position, or can they find a receiver who you can't play zone against? That's going to be the key. Can they replace those guys? Can they replace Sammy Watkins with another guy who can play the X and take the pressure off of Mecole Hardman and Tyreek Hill, who I think may be the two guys who stay long term? But are you going to be able to replace Kelce? Are you going to be able to replace Watkins? And are you going to keep having guys like Damian Williams who are going to be able to play in this system and be good as runners and also be good as pass catchers and pass blockers?
Well, they did draft I almost said Hilaire out of LSU in the first round. That was a good draft pick for them. Whether you think it was too high, like, it was a good draft pick for them.
Right. It was early, but it was, it's a good pick for that team.
But then that offensive line, they caught a break last year, because that offensive line didn't get healthy till week 16. And it wasn't until week 16 where all their starters finally were playing. And how long can you keep that unit together? But I know the doctor just is opting out for this season, and they signed Osemele, and if he's healthy and he's good to go, that's an upgrade.
Absolutely.
But how long are they going to be able to keep this offensive line together as well now? The secondary, this is the NFL. It's hard to win one. It's very hard to win another one. So, and I'm not trying to take the quarterback. I'm not trying to jump back into the Wildcat, but just real quick before we move on, Jerm, what are the chances? Are we expecting for us to say Mahomes' contract was a success and was worth it? Is one Super Bowl good enough for $500 million? Or do we need 2, 3, 4, 5? How much do we need to say this was a good contract. This was a good signing.
Can I answer this question with another question?
Sure.
Is Andy Reid and the coaching staff going to be solidified during this 12 years tenure? Are we going to get ourselves a good, solid coaching staff in this thing? Because as we know, coaches don't win them, but they lose them. Well, and Andy Reid didn't get in the way this year. He allowed the players to play. So go ahead.
I think if you look at Andy Reid's career, he's always had a tremendous coaching staff under him. Always. I don't think that's a worry. Whether they can keep the personnel together,
it's a bigger question.
Absolutely.
I wouldn't doubt they're developing somebody under him too. You know, it could be it could be the quarterback coach, it could be
Eric Bieniemy,
or the offensive coordinator. You know, there's going to be somebody that can hopefully continue his line of success when it comes to offense.
Well, Eric Bieniemy, it'll be interesting to see what happens with Eric Bieniemy, because it's first of all, there's no excuses why he shouldn't have had a shot at a good job this offseason. But is it going to be a McDaniels situation in New England where they make him the highest paid offensive coordinator under the assumption that, like, hey, if Andy goes early, if he retires early, if he has to get fired, it's going to be you? Or will he land the job? So it's going to be very interesting to see what happens with Eric Bieniemy as well.
These are good questions to ask, but just to answer your question now, since I asked that question, if you win, if Mahomes is able to win one more Super Bowl in Kansas City, it'll all be worth it.
Okay,
I'm gonna say one, because if we all know how hard it is to do two and three,
exactly.
So if he gets one, because all it takes is one good year. So yeah,
I mean, Aaron Rodgers, Drew Brees, Peyton Manning, and Phillip Rivers all have a combined 4 Super Bowls. Peyton has 2. Aaron only has 1. And I mean, remember the hype around Aaron from 2010 to 2012, and it was warranted back then because he looked tremendous. The ceiling was the roof, as Jeffrey Jordan says. But and 2014 was phenomenal. 2015 now, that's when you started seeing more of these flaws and these lazy attitude and these not taking the simple plays. So for the last 4 years, this is going to sound a little
We got a YouTube live question I'm going to ask y'all in a minute.
Okay, it's going to sound a little crazy, but Aaron Rodgers has not been reliable. Not that he hasn't been good, not that he's even been inconsistent. He's just been unreliable because I have not been able to rely on him to make the simple throws on a consistent basis. And in the last year, when everybody thought, oh, well, he's, like last year, he started off really good because he was taking the checkdowns. He was making the simple plays. And then as the season went on, he diverted back to old habits.
So
attitude.
I think overall, what we have to understand is the Packers were hitting on all cylinders when Aaron Rodgers won his Super Bowl. Also,
all cylinders.
Yes, all cylinders. That means the running game was good. The defense was playing. Remember, the Packers' defense that year was number 1 in takeaways.
They had Charles Woodson.
Yes.
Playing lights out.
Yeah, bro, I mean, I understand that was, Bounty Gate time frame, but Darren Sharper, they got the best year out of Darren Sharper. They got a crazy wait. Darren Sharper was the Saints. That was the Saints.
Yeah.
But no, I'm gonna get to the Saints too. My bad. Don't worry, because I was gonna get to Drew Brees and how they were clicking on all cylinders, and how Aaron Rodgers and it was clicking on all cylinders. Peyton Manning and the Colts was clicking on all cylinders. The Big Ben Steelers were clicking on all cylinders. We got a lot of things that go into a lot of these guys winning a Super Bowl. That's why I say all it takes is 1 year. Mm-hmm. The guys who win multiple Super Bowls normally win it in different ways each time. And that's why you see guys like Brady win 6 rings or have 9 opportunities to do so, because they've won in different ways. Brady's been the same guy that Big Ben and all these other guys was, where he's had everything clicking for him. 2004, 2003. Those years they had more stuff going on in New England. But as the years progressed and it became more about Brady and his offense, the EP, as he incorporated his stamp onto the offense, you see the offense evolve. It took a little time for them to get it under him. It took a little time for things to get going. But I mean, in 2011, as we were talked about earlier, fellas, that was the year he took the worst ranked defense in the National Football League to the Super Bowl and was 2 plays away from being able to take that Super Bowl. And he did it with a personnel grouping of just constantly having the same people on a constant motion of, hey, we're about to wear you out in one formation. You won't even get a chance to substitute.
And
That
it
right
was
there is special. That's special things.
And it wasn't like Randy Moss and Anquan Bolden and Larry Fitzgerald. It was Danny Woodhead, young Hernandez, young Gronk, young Julian Edelman, and that was it. And then Deion Branch, who was on his 45th stint with the New England Patriots.
Wes Welker was there too.
Yes, he was there. That's right.
He dropped the,
I meant
dropped
Welker,
the ball.
not Edelman. Welker, yeah, Welker.
And
he
yes.
dropped that ball.
Yeah. So I mean, those are things to think about. So we got a YouTube live question from our guy Artie. Artie actually said he loved to hear a Favre and Mahomes comparison. Break down the Mahomes two players and I'm gonna actually give this to Vic. I want to hear Vic first.
I'm not sure if I like it. I don't.
Go ahead, Mo. If since Vic is stumbling.
Favre, chaos. Mahomes,
peace.
Controlled chaos. Chaos. Because listen, no quarterback is allowed to drop back in the pocket 12 yards over and over and get away with it.
That's fair.
Well, Russell Wilson has been able to do it.
No, Russ gets out. Patrick just he will backpedal till he reaches. I've seen Patrick Mahomes backpedal a good 20 yards, throw the ball 50 yards downfield just for a 10-yard completion. That's a little bit of an exaggeration, but I've seen it like that.
That math don't even add up, but it's okay.
I don't care, but that's what I'm saying. I've seen this dude drop back so far in the pocket, so far, and he drops back far sometimes, man. And that is just like that's one of the golden rules. But when he's breaking them over and over, and he's breaking them because it's to his advantage, because he knows he can go 20 yards from the line of scrimmage because he can fling it 30 yards effortlessly
with the flick of his wrist.
But
that also is a testament to his offensive line. That's another thing too. They give up a lot of initial quick pressure.
My bad.
You good? They give up a lot of quick and initial pressure sometimes, especially in that center guard spot in the A gaps. So those are things that we have to watch and be mindful of. And let's not forget that Eric Fisher has just still never really been a great player. He's always been maybe good, and if he's an any given Sunday player, like he's really in the movie.
In not a good way. Yeah.
Yeah.
How about
Sunday?
How about in throwing mechanics? Is there a comparison there?
No. Mahomes has his own little thing he does, and Favre is just Favre, bro. I don't think, bro. Favre is a regular quarterback, if you ask me. When it comes down to certain things, did he have a good arm for the people at the time? Absolutely. But there's nothing about Favre that's going to stand out more than the fact that he was a gunslinger. He made it. He played a lot of foot. He played playground football. Yeah. I mean, he didn't know what he was watching, bro. That's where the comparison can come in. That him and Mahomes played playground football.
Well, yeah, because there's that great video of NFL mic'd up, and he's on the sidelines. This is probably 8 years into his career, and he's asking what's the difference between nickel and dime, and the guy told him, or nickel and base or whatever, and the guy told him, he's like, well, why does that matter? And that's just Favre. Like it, I just think I trust Mahomes much more than I trust Favre. That's the bottom line of it. As far as throwing mechanics, I'm actually about to look at a video right now of Favre.
It's a good question. It's one of those things where we would have to go back and see some Favre film. You know what I mean? Because there's some things that maybe there is a comparison to when it comes to throwing from different platforms, throwing mechanics. But like Mo said, I think that's a perfect way to put it. Favre was a lot more chaos, and Mahomes is a little bit more controlled.
You know, there's a great video right now from the, I guess it's from the end zone angle, and it shows some resemblance. I'm just waiting for the release to come. But as far as his base, when he's doing this little bootleg to the left, I would just say Mahomes might be maybe just a little wider because of the baseball background. But there is actually some slights. And Mahomes can also throw it without having his knees bent. Like, he can just be straight and just fling it. Mahomes with Brett here, it just seems like there's a lot more leg power, leg drive behind his throw.
Right. So basically, Mahomes has a little bit better natural arm strength, a little bit stronger player.
Yes,
so I mean,
indeed.
it's the comparisons again. We got to understand that like football is such a detailed sport. The quarterback position is such a detailed position that like there's so many things to break down and try to compare to other players and things like that. There's the mental stuff, there's the throwing mechanics, there's the accuracy, there's the personalities, the intangibles. So it's a good question. It's just a lot to get into. We're very detailed, so at least I am. So it's one of those things where I would have to do a study.
See, here's the they're showing a side angle of the touchdown pass he had in that Monday night game, like the 60-yard bomb after his dad passed away.
Yeah.
And same thing. There's just, I don't even know how he made this throw.
Yeah, I mean he's had.
I'm gonna have to get in the lab on this because I've never sat down to compare anybody's throwing motion to Brett like that. I've never even like.
It's a good question by Art.
Yeah, it is a good question. I'm gonna have to Art. This might be a Views from the 22 page video coming up soon because it's actually quite remarkable just looking at just these three throws. There is some resemblance, but like Vic said, ultimately just Mahomes, just better arm, stronger arm, better athlete, certainly.
Yeah, I mean Brett has some throws even when he had a Viking uniform on that was pretty impressive.
Mm-hmm.
So it's again we can probably get into a study for that one.
For sure.
Real quick, before I don't know if Jeremy's ready to move on to another topic.
I'm ready whenever you guys are. I know that question kind of threw a little wrench in the flow.
No, it's all good.
Make sure no, it's not a bad wrench though. That's a good wrench.
Mm-hmm.
That's gonna tighten some things up for another study.
It's time for Travis Kelce to get paid soon. Is he gonna break the market? That's gonna be another interesting topic because again, he's already 30, 32, I think it is.
He's 30. He's 30 on the dot.
30 on the dot. Okay, so does he get like a 5-year? Because we've had discussions on how important the tight end position has become. We've talked extensively about that. I don't know if we're gonna get into that today, but we're already 20 minutes into the show.
I mean, so George Kittle hasn't been paid yet. Let's see what the tight end caps look like here. So Hunter Henry is
he's got like 10 million, right?
He's at like 10 million. Austin Hooper 10.5. So Travis right now is at 9.3.
And Travis could ask for 14 to 15 easy.
Well, see, here's the thing now, is that was the projection. But with the coronavirus, there's going to be a cap hit. There's going to be a cap decrease for the next 4 or 5 years. So he may reset the market, Kelce and Kittle. We'll see who gets paid first. It's more than likely going to be Kittle. So we'll see what Kittle's contract looks like. And then we'll get a gauge for what Travis is going to get, because Kittle's rookie contract is ending right now. So we'll I think for more clarity on what Travis is going to be looking at numbers wise, we're going to have to see exactly what they decide with the cap relief for these next 4 to 5 years. And then also we're gonna have to see what George Kittle gets paid.
Okay. We can most definitely do that. So we'll be keeping our eyes on all of those things. So our next thing is we got a Cam Newton to the Patriots.
What do you want me to say? What, you waiting for me to say something?
And then
I'm waiting for y'all to say something.
Yeah, he throws in a joke and like, what are we supposed to follow it up for you?
Yes, you're supposed to dunk it.
I thought they were gonna start Jared Skittles.
Oh. What is his name? Jason Stidham.
Jared Stidham.
Whatever. Yeah.
And Belichick calls him Stid. 20 years, he referred to Tom as Tom. All of a sudden, he won't be calling people Stid. I wonder what's he gonna call Cam. Or call him Ace Boogie. I would love for Belichick to say, yeah, Ace Boogie played well today, but we're on to whatever they're gonna be on.
Real quick,
to a 5-11 season. What they going on? Go ahead.
We were talking about the Chiefs. We didn't really get into the Shady McCoy signing, but I'm in the camp where like I wouldn't be surprised if Cam doesn't even make the team. So I want to throw in like a question. Shady makes the team for the Bucks. I'm sorry. Does Shady make the team, make the roster, or does Cam make the roster? Who has the better chance?
Cam.
Okay.
Cam. Yeah. See, here's the thing for New England,
I'm not answering
right?
that question.
New England right now is not only are they dealing with the pandemic, they're dealing with a crisis because their entire defense is going to look so different next year. It's looking like all three of their safeties are not going to be on the field next year. And it's already been established their entire starting linebackers are not going to be on the field for them next year. We saw the impact of Trey Flowers not being there, how that had an impact on the defense. Especially in that Titans game. So I don't really know what's gonna come of Cam to New England. In my opinion, I think Cam is a rental player. And I think for Belichick, he just wants to get through this season. And he would much rather get through this season with Cam Newton rather than with Jared Stidham. Because if Jared Stidham is their long-term answer, the longer he goes developing without starting, the better. So if Cam, I expect 100% Cam to start this year and Brian Hoyer to be the number 2 quarterback if they keep Brian Hoyer. Because I don't believe in Jared Stidham from what I've seen. He's got a long way to go, if you ask me, before he's ready to start.
What has Cam shown the last couple of years that we can believe in him? Especially, are they staying with the same system? Are they adjusting it? There's a lot of questions that come to it. You know that we are deeper involved into the study of the game. We know the systems. Does Cam fit? Like the craziest thing for me after his signing was hearing ESPN and all of those guys go off on it's going to be a much more comfortable for the Patriots because now he could scramble. Isn't that why he gets hurt? Isn't that why he got hurt?
It's not even about that. It's not even about that. First of all, for somebody to get a check to go on national TV and say that Cam Newton would be an upgrade for the New England Patriots, that check should have been either voided or bounced. There is no reason why somebody with legitimate money would give somebody a legitimate check to go on national TV airwaves and say to a country in a crisis that Cam Newton will be an upgrade to the greatest quarterback to ever play the game. Period. Cam has got one issue and one issue only. Not one issue. He's got several issues. First of all, his health is a major, major, major concern. Second of all, we know how inconsistent he can be with throwing the ball from the pocket. If there is no way, no chance in hell, shout out to The Rock for buying Vince McMahon out. There is no chance in hell that the New England Patriots will run the same offense that they've been running for the last 20 years. There will be significant modification. Significant.
Do you have please drink from your cup, Pastor, because you ain't here preaching. See, I got my fan out. Oh, this has turned into church.
It's just ridiculous, man. It's ridiculous that people are getting away with pushing such hyenas narratives.
It's brutal, and they're getting paid for it. They're in the biggest network in sports network in the world. Anyway, I ain't trying to deviate from what we're trying to accomplish here. But again, let's get back on task here. Is Cam going to start week 1 for the Patriots?
100%. And he is gonna play, if he's healthy, if he plays 16, he's gonna make sports in the top 10 every now and then. He's gonna make some guys happy in fantasy every now and then, and he is going to deliver a 6-10 season to the New England Patriots.
See, the only thing when it comes to the EP system is they go from the line of scrimmage up. Basically, they read what the linebackers are doing. The running backs are very important to check downs, to a lot of routes. He has been somewhat good at that when it comes to working with Christian McCaffrey. And then they read, the receivers on the outside. So that may help him, but he is one of the most inaccurate quarterbacks, at least in the last couple of years in the NFL.
And I'm gonna just address something. Jeremy, you want to go, or I'm gonna just address something, okay? Because there's gonna be a theme, and we're gonna talk about Lamar, and we're gonna talk about Cam, and we're gonna talk about their inaccuracies from the pocket. And I don't want this narrative to jump out. The reason these folks, Cam and Lamar, is inaccurate from the pocket, it's not because of the color of their skin. It is because they are unbelievably athletic. And it's almost like when you're a boxer, right? You can't be doing all these curls because your hook ain't gonna come in right. Same thing with quarterbacking. You don't need these and these explosive, high functioning, high explosive, what's quick twitch muscles, yes. the way running backs do. That is why Tom Brady started doing the pliabilities, the soft stuff, because you need to be nimble, you need to be quick, you need to be able to be flexible and stretchable, whatever the athletic term you want to use. I'll leave that to the expert, Vic. But Cam and Lamar and Tim Tebow, who's the whitest quarterback in the history of the NFL, the reason all these guys struggled with throwing the ball accurately is because when you ask their bodies to compress and be compact and deliver, there's just too much force being generated there. Am I wrong with anything I just said, Vic? That's actually a great theory if you want to make it a theory. You know what I mean? Because right, like those guys, like for example, Brady, Breeze, guys like that, they don't have that kind of athletic ability. Mm-hmm. Therefore, they had to adjust to sitting in the pocket, moving in the pocket. Since these guys are athletes, quick twitch muscle fibers, you can't tell these guys to stay in the pocket that long. They're gonna be like, I could make this play. Let me
just say something. Y'all are tuned into something that y'all ain't gonna get nowhere else. I just want y'all to know. This is the scene, baby. You from the 22. Did you just hear what this man just said to y'all? Man, go ahead, Mo. Just go.
Vic, before you go on, keep saying what you're saying, but speaking as a former guard, I want my quarterback moving in the pocket. Speaking as a defensive tackle, I loved it when I saw him going out the pocket because, okay, get off me. I'm going to get him. I got nothing to do with you no more.
Yes. And that's when they get to pull their big 300-pound body and tackle you and land on you is what they love to do. That hurts.
I don't remember his name, but I broke a quarterback's collarbone in high school because of that. He scrambled, and I'm like, Chief, it's just me and you right now. It's just me and you and whatever God got planned for you. That's it.
No, nothing from there. So again, bro, and that's another thing with Pat. There's another thing with Pat Mahomes. Is he going to stay healthy when he has to move around outside the pocket? We're going to get to Lamar Jackson soon, But again, everybody is so rah about the quarterback that's mobile, that gets out of the pocket. If you have an offensive line to protect you, you need to go through your reads. Whether read number 1, read number 2, read number 3, you have to develop that skill, and that's a very, very limited skill that very few quarterbacks have been able to develop.
The safest place for a quarterback on a football field is in the pocket.
Pocket. That's the reason why That's the reason why they allow you to. They tell you can't do certain things to the quarterback while they're inside the tackle box.
Mm-hmm.
So if the safest place for you to be is inside the tackle box, it's not for you to have the ball in your hand going 10 yards up the field or going to the sideline. That's just not safe. But you know what? We need to save that. We got another mobile guy we got to talk about here as well. We got to talk about Dakota.
Oh boy.
Is Mr. Dakota, who we're going to call him greedy. We're going to call him a little greedy. I'm going to call him a little greedy because I think at the end of the day, first of all, Dak has not proven enough to command top dollar in the market. He's proven enough for him to get a reasonable number on the market. Don't get me wrong. I do not want to tell you that if you pay him $30 million plus, I'm not against that. But once you start trying to get $40 million, now I'm starting to look at you a little different because what has Dak provided for the Dallas Cowboys consistently that says he's worth that number? $40 million on, let's just say the cap is $200 million. $40 million is 20% of the cap. That's 20% of the cap at $200 million. Are you worth 20% of the cap considering that means you're carrying another 20 to 40% of the cap because the other 40% is locked up into some 2 or 3 other good players. Are you that player that you can say that me giving these 5 guys in this realm of $80 million or so, and me giving you 40, are you better than those 4 to 5 players that I'm giving this $80 million to? The answer to that question is no. I can argue that the offensive line is more important than Dak. I can offer that Ezekiel Elliott is more important than Dak. I can offer that the defensive lineman, in particular, DeMarcus Lawrence is a much better player than Dak. This is not saying Dak is a bum or a scrub. This is not saying Dak cannot play the quarterback position.
Is he top tier? Is he going to be top tier? That's the question.
Is he a top 7 quarterback in the NFL today? Those are the only quarterbacks that I'm going to give $40 million to or 20% of my cap to. And that's just being honest, y'all.
You know who's the I'm sorry, go ahead, Vic. You want to say something?
No, go ahead. Get that out. I know what I'm going to ask.
You know what Dakota's tier is? Andy Dalton.
Oh, ouch.
No, but I'm being for real. And I say that specifically Andy Dalton. Why? Because Andy Dalton is a backup quarterback for the Dallas Cowboys. And Andy Dalton, I would much rather give Andy Dalton $2 million than Dak Prescott $40 million.
Wow.
And now if you ask me would I rather give Dak Prescott 2 or Patrick Mahomes 40, I'm giving Patrick Mahomes 40. But if you ask me would I rather give Andy Dalton 2 or Dak Prescott 40, I'm going Andy Dalton. 100%.
I see completely where you're going.
Because you can do more with Andy Dalton and the roster and build a lights out defense and be able to sustain the offensive line, which has been the driving force for that Cowboys team over the last 5 to 7 years.
Right. There is nobody that can sit here and convince me had for the last 5 years Andy Dalton been playing in Dallas and Dak was drafted by Cincinnati that we'd be talking about Dak getting a second contract for Cincinnati right now for $40 million.
No.
But had Andy Dalton been playing for Dallas for the last 5 years, I promise you would be talking about what type of contract Andy Dalton would be getting. And that's my bottom line with this. So Dak, I think from everything that I've read and seen, and the only time I watch Skip and Shannon Undisputed is for very few subjects. And one of them was when they were discussing the Dak contract, because Skip is very reliable when it comes to Dallas Cowboys information. And from everything I've read from Jane Slater and all the beat reporters, I know Vic, what's the beat reporter you mentioned to me last night?
Ryan Broaddus. He used to be a former scout for the Cowboys.
Right. So between those 3 people, there's a lot of information you can gather. And from everything I've gathered, it definitely seems like the Dak overplayed his hand in this situation. And from what I understood it, they agreed on the money, they agreed on the numbers, they agreed in principle. And after Dak had those lights out games from week 1 to week 3 to start out the season, they went and upped their number. And ever since then, it's been a hostile negotiation between Jerry Jones and Dak Prescott's camp. And one thing we know about Jerry, he's a damn good businessman.
Yeah, he sure is.
And Andy Dalton is another reminder that Jerry Jones is a damn good businessman, because the Cowboys, I hate to say this, they got Dak Prescott handcuffed right now for the next 3 years. Mm-hmm. They can decide to uncuff him at any point, but right now those cuffs are on Dak for the next 3 years. And I we'll see how it unfolds. So there's 2 theories here, and both of them could be at play. It's one, Jerry got mad with Dak for going behind his word, and 2, they just don't believe in him.
What has he shown? But what has he shown that make you believe in him, though?
Well, see, here's the thing. Oh, go ahead, Rick. I'll wait.
He's had some good games. He did have some good games. He was really good weeks 1 through 6, I want to say. They did start 3-0, 4-0.
3-0.
And yeah, so he was very good at one point. But then he kind of started declining slowly. I know the Philly game towards the end of the season was god awful. You know, he has shown some weaknesses when it comes to closing games, throwing the ball accurately, giving the receivers some opportunities to make plays. Now, the Cowboys receivers were in the top 3 in the league in drops. Let's put that out there. That's very, very important. They led the league in drops, but Dak also was missing a lot of throws. Who is the next highest paid quarterback? I think it's Russ. What was his number?
I'll give me 5, 4, 3. So Russ is at averaging 35 a year. Ben is 34. Aaron is 33 and a half. Goff 33 and a half. Cousins 33. Wentz 32.
So I don't have the issue if Dak wants to get paid around that 35, 36 just to be above those guys.
Mm-hmm.
If he's asking for the $40 range, then listen, it's tough for me to question how a man wants to make his money. That is hard. But the best quarterback ever took a lot of discounts to make sure his football team had enough money to distribute around the football team. And
they still shorted him 9 out of 10 times, but yes. Whatever.
You're talking about an average of $20 to $25 million a season for a guy who has 6 Super Bowl rings.
Perspective.
See, here's the thing I've always maintained is that I would rather a raw quarterback than a polished, limited quarterback. And the scary thing about Dak.
Explain it. No. We don't do that. You got to explain that.
Well, I'm getting into it.
Okay.
The scary thing about Dak. Come on now.
You
see the logo?
No, look. All right.
The crazy thing about Dak is that there's nothing I can critique in terms of his mechanics outside of times where there's sloppy footwork. But the sloppy footwork comes from, to me, overthinking stuff. Because sometimes you see him doing those quick 3-step drops from the gun, and it's boom, boom, boom. But the throw is way. So it's like, yo, I would much rather have... Bruh, I would much rather have a quarterback who's raw, who's got mechanics that he struggles with, than a quarterback who has good mechanics and struggles with accuracy. What's the one thing we say? You can't teach accuracy. Nope. I can teach you the game. I can teach you how to read when this safety plays here and when they rotate and this and that, and when the safety's playing, when the corner's playing soft, when the corner's playing, I can teach you all those stuff. I can't teach you how to put the ball in somebody's chest. I can't teach you how to throw the ball where somebody can catch it on an in-breaking route and run with it. I can't teach you how to throw it low when it needs to be thrown low. Just because a ball thrown low don't mean it's an inaccurate pass. And the scary thing about Dak is I don't know if he can put the ball where he wants to put it. Yes. But there's nothing I can do to fix it because the mechanics are decent.
Right. You can't teach anticipation. You can't teach feel. You can't teach instincts.
Right.
Some of the most important traits for the quarterback position that is severely overlooked because people are just not educated on that aspect of the position. So, he just doesn't have that anticipation consistently.
Right. Exactly.
Hey, this is just a disclaimer for everybody who thinks accuracy can be taught, because I've had people argue with me and say accuracy can be taught. But here's the thing. How are you going to teach Lamar Jackson to be more accurate as a quarterback? And you can't do it.
If accuracy can be taught, there'd be more than 32 good quarterbacks, and there isn't 32 good quarterbacks.
Hey, look, wait, hold on, Vic. Hold on, Vic. Don't be blowing down at me. Talk to them. You talking to the people now. How you talking to me? I know the truth. I know the truth. Mm-hmm. I'm comfortable in my truth, sir. What we're not about to sit up here and what we're not going to do is we're not going to say certain skills or certain traits can be taught. Instincts is something that you really can't teach. It's just a feel. It's a feel for the game.
Right.
You can't teach certain things. You can't teach a quarterback certain things, just like you can't teach a defensive end certain things, can't teach a linebacker certain things, and you can't teach certain running back certain things. Now, going to natural instinct and natural everything, we're going to talk about Jamal Adams to Seattle. And this is the perfect segue because we're talking about one of the most natural athletes in the National Football League. We're talking about a 4.3 speed guy. He's got 6'2", 240 pounds. He can hit with the best of them, and he can cover tight ends, which is something that me and Vic were worried about him coming out of college to see if he can add that to his game.
Right. Once
we seen him covering Gronk, we said, okay, well, I guess we got to reevaluate what we were talking about there. But at LSU, we're going to call him Yu-Gi-Oh! Because he was obliterating people. Okay. It was all bad. It was, if it's in front of him, he's a heat-seeking missile. I'm going to start off with this. I do not like what Seattle gave up for him.
Yes.
The only reason why I don't like what they gave up for him is you gave essentially your best cow for next year and your best cow for the year after that. And
so that's 2 first-round picks, right?
Yes, 2 first-round picks. You end up giving a 4th-round pick as well. Was it a fourth or a third?
Had to be a 4th. No way they gave up 2 1s and a 3 for a
4th.
player.
It was a 4th?
Yeah.
Okay.
They got a pick in return too, though.
And they got a pick
and Bradley McDougal. So that didn't look as bad. That didn't look as bad. So what I'm gonna say is, I just don't like the 2 first-rounders for safety.
Right.
That's my only issue, because I think personally, Mo knows this and Vic knows this. I said Jamal Adams is going to be the best safety in the NFL in the next 3 years. And there's not a question in my mind that's going to change that. And we may be able to say that this year after what we've seen him do last year.
Yes.
So, because I'm going to go here, Vic, because I'm assuming you agree with Germ.
Which part?
Just the draft capital.
Yeah. No, of course. 2 first-round picks for me is not good enough. It's too much value.
Because if I'm a head coach and I walk into your office, defensive coordinator, and I say to you, hey, I can get you our identity for 2 first-round picks, would you not do it?
Bro, I mean, again, I'm gonna answer it with how is the quarterback protected? How is the quarterback? What are the pieces around the quarterback?
Fair, but we know Pete Carroll has wasted first-round picks for a while now.
Yes.
Well, this is okay. All right. Now that I know where you're going with this, I'm not even going to go. Keep going. Please go. Keep going.
So so let me
come back.
The Seattle Seahawks, what they've been missing is identity. they haven't had identity in that defense since Cam Chancellor stepped off the football field. Even when they still had Earl and when they still had Sherman, they were going through identity crisis. They didn't know whether they want to be cover two zone, cover one man, go back to their cover three. They didn't know what they wanted to be. And last year they more played a cover two scheme, and it works. But there's I mean it was effective. It wasn't great.
It wasn't them,
reliable.
It wasn't them.
And it wasn't them. Jamal Adams replaces everything Cam Chancellor brought. And the biggest thing he brought is that we can defend the run and we can defend the pass at our terms, no matter what. And that's what Jamal Adams is going to bring to this defense. And I think, listen, it took 2 first-round picks, but if it means getting a player of that impact, because look, we can talk about whether the position is worth this or worth that or worth this or worth that. There is nothing more valuable than a proven NFL player. And when there are guys that play at the level that are tier one,
I will disagree with that one little sentence you said, but go ahead.
Okay, so papi.
You said there is nothing more valuable than an NFL what?
Than a proven NFL player. Nothing. To the point. You know how much I love Joe Burrow. Speaking
of, he is going to be the threat in the AFC. But anyway, forgot about him.
Hell yeah. But we got to see. We need Cincinnati to come up first.
Yeah.
You know how much I love Joe Burrow.
Mm-hmm.
Me and you both. Germ loves him, but not as much as us. Not saying that Germ thinks he's bad, but Germ wanted to give up.
He was clearly the best. Listen, he was 1A or 1B, however you want.
The only difference between how me and Vic think of Joe and how Germ thinks of Joe is that when we walked into the war room on day 1, me and Vic put it in permanent marker, Joe Burrow won, and Germ said, I'm gonna put it in pencil and I'm gonna keep an eraser nearby just in case. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. If you told me for the next 3 years I could have Russell Wilson or Joe Burrow, I'm taking Russell Wilson twice on Sundays.
Yes.
And that's all I'm saying. And we don't know what they, because Seattle more than likely is going to be in the 24 to 31 range for the next 3-4 years picking in the NFL draft. Okay. And if you're in 24 to 31, that means that if you can get to 40 in the second round and still pick up a first round pick that's worthy, or still pick up a high level player to draft for your football team.
So I'm trying to win a championship. So that pick got to be number 64.
Fine. All I'm saying is to get somebody who's on a tier 1 in his position, to get somebody who's proven, to get somebody who's that impactful, to get somebody who will give me the identity of my defense.
I think everything that you said there is fair. I'm not against it. Like first of all, this is an objective conversation.
Mm-hmm. Subjective. Whatever you want to say.
Well, I'm saying objective because we all have different values when we come down to football teams. But when we put it together, we all come up with the same secure understanding of, and I say secure understanding because we can't be wavered on certain beliefs or certain things we know that work.
Mm-hmm.
All right. Now, where this becomes subjective, where it becomes subjective is it's subject to the defense that you play. It's subject to the personnel that you have on defense. It's subject to who else you're going to have next to him, because that's going to be the key. Because you're going to tell Jamal to play the Troy Polamalu and basically a mixture of Troy Polamalu and Cam Chancellor, because he's a little bit better than what Cam Chancellor is with his explosiveness, with his natural ability.
Fair.
And you're going to ask him to basically be the guy who, there's no 50-yard runs happening while I'm on the field.
Right.
There are, that cover, we know the cover 3, the safety comes down into like a flat concept. And that
curl
that
flat,
situation.
yes.
And when that happens, you're going to see Jamal Adams bait quarterbacks into making that throw.
Certainly.
That a lot of safeties are having a struggle with, which is why a lot of teams can't play cover 3.
Well, for example, a team like Shanahan, McVay,
Mhm.
you know, sticks, flats, those spacing, those quick concept routes that are designed to go underneath and break down cover threes.
Mhm.
Well, now all of a sudden that window, instead of closing like this and close like that, is like the difference between having Jamal Adams and everybody else they had is like, remember that time, shout out to the great late Muhammad Ali, when he said, I'm so fast, I turn the lights off and be in my bed before the lights go out. Jamal closes windows at a very, very high speed, man.
Absolutely. He does. He does. But that's why I'm saying he's more gifted at. He hit the genetic lottery more than Cam did. Cam was big. Jamal is a little bit smaller and a lot faster. Like when I say a lot faster, his feet are some of the best feet we have ever seen from a safety. He moves like a corner at times. And when you watch him move, it's not the same thing that you see from a Bradley McDougald could wish to move like Jamal.
Oh yeah.
That's a huge upgrade. So you see what I'm saying? It's a huge upgrade.
That's also mental processing right there.
Bro, and that's another thing. I mean, I don't know if you guys watched the scouting combine this year, but the way Jamal Adams talked, Prime was listening.
Man,
that's different, bro.
That's not different.
This is a dude
different.
Bro, this is the only thing it's just the position that he plays and the two things that in the 2 first round picks. That's the only issue. I do understand it completely though.
Right.
Let's get to that. So 2 first round picks. You guys know I'm the scout guy. I'm the guy that draft capital is very important to me. We were good. I did disagree with when you had said on our Facebook. Shout out to our Facebook page, Views from the 22. Follow us if you don't. You put Cowboy fans should be one of the people, one of the groups that should be upset about this trade. And I disagree because of the value of obviously the 2 first round picks, but the Cowboys having already a talented team around. Would you agree to that? A more well-rounded football team when it comes to protection, the pass.
Sure, certainly.
If there's if there's a team that can afford to get rid of those 2 first round picks, would it be Dallas or would it be Seattle?
100% Dallas.
So I don't know if I would be upset about it, but I would probably be more upset that as a Seattle fan that they gave up those 2 first round picks when my quarterback is not protected. He's carrying that football team. We're going to get to that. He's carrying that football team, and he always has to be out of the pocket, like we talked about, in the most dangerous places where the quarterback should not be at.
Real quick.
Those 2 first round picks.
But
protect him, and they still are not even doing that.
I'm with you.
Go ahead,
Let me just say this real quick, and I'm going to let Mo jump in. That is system predicated, though, Vic. That is system predicated for the reason why Russ, with his being outside the tackle box, because they do run a West Coast system. So being outside the tackle box is part of what they've done with him since he was a rookie. So some of that is they don't value the people because they want to get to the perimeter. I'm not making excuses because the offensive line, as we talk about every day, no beef, no Lombardi. If you don't have good beef, you're not going to win consistently. And every time Seattle get their ass whipped, it's because they got their ass whipped at the line of scrimmage. It's just really that simple. 100%. So I'm just saying on that aspect of it, let's make sure we give the scheme, because the scheme does mean they want him to be on the outside on the outside edges and attacking the tackle boxes, because also it helps open up lanes for him to throw because he's a smaller quarterback.
So
go ahead, Mo. I'm sorry.
I like this debate here, Vic. So let me ask you this.
Ooh, we got the pin out.
Who is more valuable to the Seattle Seahawks in 2020? The 2021 first round pick or Jamal Adams?
It depends. Okay, so let me ask you this question. This is a real life question.
Good.
If let's say I gotta look at my board because we got the draft board up and we got like 100 players on it already.
Okay.
If that is a top tier pass rusher, it may be the pass rusher over Jamal Adams. Now,
okay, what?
That's what I'm saying. If it's a pass rusher.
That pass rusher is not going to help them in 2020 though.
What you mean?
Who's more valuable to the Seattle Seahawks in 2020? Jamal Adams being on their roster or the 2021 draft pick?
I get what you're saying. Of course, it's going to be Jamal Adams. But let me give you a scenario. What if they end up the same situation like they did last season, which was what, a one and done?
Okay, here's what I'm saying.
You know what I mean? Like
maybe it may happen. But if they lose in the first round of the playoffs, I'm not going to say, oh, they shouldn't have traded for Jamal Adams, right? Because Jamal Adams is going to be a big reason why they're there.
But you make moves like that to upgrade.
Okay, so let me make my point here. From January to May, draft picks are more valuable than players. From June to October, players are more valuable than draft picks.
Of course.
And that's why this deal was done at the time it was done. I really thought Drew Brees hacked into our Zoom. I wasn't sure what the hell was going on. But at the end of the day, this deal was done at the time it was done because Jamal Adams is more valuable right now and in September and in October and in November and December and hopefully January and February than a potential good draft pick that who could potentially be good, but more than likely will not live up to what you want him to live up to in 2021.
Question.
Go ahead, Drum. Get it out. I'm
You got a 100-round drum, huh? Okay. Here's my question. So, okay, is it just the fact that it's Jamal Adams, the best safety in the league, going to a scheme that he is tailor-made to be in? Or is it the proven NFL players statement that you made before?
Well, it's a combination of both, but it's okay. For example, I'm not giving up 2 first-round picks for Earl Thomas. I'm not giving up 2 first-round picks for Richard Sherman. You're talking about a prime player who is tier 1 at his position. TJ Watt, I'm giving up 2 first-round picks for. Right?
That's pass rusher.
I understand that. Okay.
That's the top 3 most important position. That's a top 3
tackle, quarterback, and we all agree tackle, quarterback, and
what's number 4? What's number 4 or number 5?
It has to be cornerback. Then I don't. To me, is like guard,
safety,
center. No, come on.
Okay, maybe not 4 or 5, but it's not like you want to get.
5 is not unrealistic.
Here's the thing. My argument is not position, because on positional value, I get it. My argument is about the player. There are certain players that are an exception to whatever value of their position. Whatever the max value of the safety position is, do not include Jamal Adams under that cap. That's all I'm saying.
I get what you said. He's an extreme exception to the rule.
Sure, yeah, he's an exception.
No, I'm saying extreme because 2 first-round picks has to be an extreme exception.
Fair. Bro, but I'm not condemning nor blaming. And if I was Pete Carroll, I would have pulled it. If they told me it's going to take 2 firsts, take them. Give me Jamal.
Bro, listen, like I said, it has to be a couple playoff wins for me to say, all right, great freaking draft.
You know what? But these are the conversations though that we've got to wonder what was said to Pete in general. Like, just to bring it back in, I wonder what the conversation was in Seattle.
What was his first round pick?
I mean, but think about it like this. This is another good thing. If Pete's not doing a good job in the first round and he's getting most of his key premier talent in the second round or after pick 15,
right,
then it almost looks like, well, we didn't do that bad because we don't do good with first round picks anyway.
Their best first round pick was Bruce Irvin in the last 10 years.
No, it was Earl Thomas.
That's crazy.
Earl was a first round pick, or I thought he was a second round pick.
No, Earl was the 16th overall pick, bro.
Okay, so then Earl Thomas it is.
Bro, but Bruce Irvin was 15, bro. You see, I said 15 and back.
But look at
crazy.
Cam, Sherman, Browner, Bennett, the nose they had. None of those guys were
Nasir
high-profile picks.
Nasir Jones, Bennett, Michael
Doug
Bennett,
Baldwin.
Yes.
I mean, Pete. We talked about this. Germ, what did you ask me yesterday? You asked me where would you put Andy Reid in terms of developing guys and
You
roster
said without
structure.
Without question, you put at number 3 behind Pete and Bill.
Behind Pete and Bill. Like, that's how much I believe in Pete. That's how highly I think of Pete. I think Pete,
we all think the world of Pete because of what he's done consistently. It's consistency.
Right.
It's just he doesn't. Now here's the thing, and then I'm gonna introduce our guy here. The thing that I want to see moving forward is if this works out. This is all I want to see. I just want to see them get to the conference semifinals. If they do that, this trade is perfectly fine, and I'm cool, and I'll leave it alone.
Last thing I want to say before you pass it off to Trav. A couple years ago, Bill Belichick was asked, what makes Pete Carroll's scheme so hard to defend or so complicated to defend? Bill said there's nothing complicated about it. Pete has been running the same scheme since 1978, and it is the most simple defensive scheme you could ever see. It is just simple cover 3. But Bill said he just now has the players to execute it at a high level. And Trav can talk about how important communication is in football and basketball. And Jeremy and you talked about this. They communicated the bleep out of that defense. Their communication was so good. And
Super Bowl, bro, you seen them mic'd up, and you seen Cam like switch,
right?
And you seen him going on the deep, and Sherm taking the intermediate, bro. It was the hand signals, the understanding. It was like they were so in tune with what they were doing that they were just, hey, I already know what you thinking, so we just gonna do this.
Right.
Bro, that is the most beautiful thing about that damn defense, is the way they communicated.
And now he has Quandre Diggs and Jamal Adams to take the throne from Earl Thomas, or take the torch rather from Earl Thomas and Cam Chancellor, and try to replicate what they did. And we talked about Shaquille Griffin. So you got tall physical corner with dreads, you got a big powerful safety, and you got a short little center fielder that could cover all kinds of range. Legion of Boom 2.0. I gotta take a little
go ahead.
restroom break. I'll be right back.
Yo, so with that being said, my guy Trav, man, look, 94 feet of life is in the building. My guy, he coming over here to the scene. He wanted to get in on a little football talk today. Trav, man, go ahead and holler at the people, man.
Man, it ain't nothing spectacular, man. It's just me, man. I like the background. My guy Victor Mon got back there with the shirts, the trap shirts. I likes it a lot, man. Me on here, man, I'm doing more learning than anything, man. I'm supporting my people, man. Hey, the scene is here, man. Views from the 22, man. I appreciate y'all bringing me on. Hey, man.
So real quick, Trav. Why Drew Brees look worried behind you, bro?
Yeah, he gonna be worried because he got Brady right there. He gonna see him at least twice. He gonna see him 2 times, man. We the people, man. We the people understand that we got weapons at Tampa. That this man, we got people that's gonna touch a one route king. We got people that's gonna tame that. We got offensive guys. That's the main thing about us, man, as far as Tampa, man. Our offense, man, can't be our defense, but our offense have to be on that field long enough for our defense to make some noise.
We got another 94 feeder coming on here. We got Ronnie, my guy, big shot. Hey, man, so look, I'm just letting y'all know. They got a song. They say, we on the block. What's up? Or we on the block. Pull up. We on the scene. Pull up. Because this going that. Big shot. What's up, man? What's going on?
Just late to the party. Y'all continue. I'm just in the corner hiding. That's all.
So real quick, Jerm, that they both on here with us now. 94 feet of life guys, man. They cover basketball beautifully. What do you feel about a football season actually happening? Like, talk to us about the bubble thing. How's that going for the NBA? There is rumors, I want to say, that the NFL is thinking of something like this. you know, what y'all think about an NFL season? Probably not even gonna happen, bro.
I think if you don't have a bubble, it's gonna be really, really difficult to do. Now, I think the problem for the NFL is that that's just a lot of damn people. Like when you talk about a 53-man squad, most coaching staffs running what 15 deep.
Not only that, don't forget that you start off with 100, then you got to break it down to 53.
Right. I just think the numbers of the amount of people that the NFL has to carry on traveling parties is going to be. I just don't know how many places you have to hold that many people at one time. I heard one theory that you could bring everybody to Los Angeles. Maybe Los Angeles has enough spaces and complexes and things that you could do with that. But I just think in NFL, the amount of people that they have for a game day traveling staff is going to be really difficult to do.
Well, first of all, welcome to the party, fellas. I went away for a minute. We got 2 extra people on the line.
Hey,
Right.
man,
But
that's what it is.
we on the scene, baby.
Yes, sir.
Big shot.
Hold up.
One of the theories I heard, and it was on Twitter, it was a regular guy, that the NFL should have 4 bubbles. And basically, out of those 4 bubbles, so out of those 4 bubbles, the teams that finish 1 and 2 in each of their bubbles, they play for the winner of their bubbles. And then you're going to get 4 winners from 4 bubbles, and that'll be the conference championship games and then ultimately the Super Bowl. So you have 4 bubbles and then a 5th bubble.
I can rock with that.
Man,
The only thing is to get all these owners to agree to it, however they realign the conferences and the divisions.
Right. And that's
it
the key.
sounds cool. It sounds cool, but first of all, the players got to comply. Players got to comply. You already got Odell Beckham bitching about it. I mean, and I understand where he's coming from, but if you want to get paid, you got to comply. But that's the NFLPA. That's a whole different situation. As far as
I mean, listen, Trav, this whole pandemic, man, every single one of us have a role to play. And these professional athletes are no different. Well, these politicians, whether some of them like to think so, are no different. So we all have a role to play in practicing common sense, which I never understood why that's such a difficult task. But apparently it is. And so ultimately it's up to the NFL to put in the proper protocols and whatever, but just like any one of us, it is our responsibility to take the safest approach possible to our daily lives. And Vic, that was a perfectly executed safe sneeze. Good job. Bless you, by the way.
I ain't trying to spread it around here. But, to go off of what, I had asked them earlier, Mo, when you went on a little break, is because the NBA is doing a good job so far with their bubble situation. But you only got 12 players, 15 players on your squad, right? With the coaching staff. You already got 2 things going on. You got the NFL players already dropping out like flies. That's one. And you got the MLB right now struggling with their situation. 25 players on their bubble.
You're talking about a difference of 600 people? A difference of 600 people? But in total for the NBA? Because it's what, 20 teams, right? Big shot?
It's 30. You got the NBA really only has to track. It's 450 players. Your coaching staff is, let's say, 5. So it's about 650 people total. Where you talk about the NFL, you're talking about
600 people being just six teams. That's
Right.
6 teams. See what I'm saying? So that's a problem.
Yeah.
So Big Shot,
Yo,
let's talk about the Lakers, for example. How many total people do the Lakers have, players and staff, in the bubble right now?
So it's a 15-man roster. I believe the Lakers have 5 assistant coaches and Vogel, so that's 6.
21.
You probably have 3 to 4 people as like what you would call like training staff. So
that's 24.
24.
So it's probably 24.
Shout out to Kobe.
That's Ron. That's just the coaching staff of an NFL team.
That's what I'm saying.
So it's
That's crazy.
Numerically, it's going to be almost impossible to do.
That's crazy, dog. You see how
It's
much
scary,
goes into
man.
an NFL game just in general.
Right.
We haven't even included the fact that the referees that you're going to have to employ and have them in the bubble.
The amount of
Then
camera.
the chain gang, the cameramen,
The stadium personnel.
Man, bro,
I
just
bet you
all of
I
that
bet
in
you-
itself.
I bet you in that NBA bubble, there's probably less than 1,000 people. That's everybody. That's including NBA staff that work there. I bet it.
Listen,
If you add up everybody in there, players, coaches, staff, trainers, it's less than 1,000 people.
that number sounds like a lot.
It sounds like a lot. Now think of NFL. NFL, you talking probably. We've only got to the players, and we had
5,000.
1,600.
So Tom's, jeez, man, is
That's 1,600 with just players.
I'm just
just
praying.
players.
I am just praying for a season just because of that. Just because of that poster, whatever you want to call it, right behind Trav right now.
Yeah.
You need to see number 12 on the field. That's all I want. That's all I want.
And you know what? You know what's so cool about the NBA right now doing it is that we've been in the bubble for basically going on 2 weeks. And don't you know the results of COVID being tested is zero?
Zero.
Zero.
That is the safest place in the world right now.
Crazy.
Zero.
But do you know what goes into? Okay, now let's go back to a conversation that we had in the views chat. You know what I said back in March? I said, we know what we need to do. The only way for us to attack this situation is everybody just need to get tested, and we need to be figuring out where we're contracting it from, where we're bringing it from. We got to be cautious and careful, and we need to get tested. By the NBA doing just that and making it into a nice, solid bubble and making sure they test, they see what they monitor the things, they make sure that their sanitation is a very, very key component. We've been able to make a safe and secure place. What does that actually say about what we're doing in the world? If these people can do it in the NBA, why don't we have anybody else with the overhead that's able to figure this out to this capacity? But you know what? Don't worry, we on the scene. We're gonna be on that later. We're gonna attack that only the way that Germ So True gonna attack that. And I'm letting y'all know that now. That may be, you look out for that this week.
Hey, I got a question.
Yes,
let's say best case scenario, this all works out, right? And I saw this meme. I'm not a big meme dude, so it's funny. So for Tampa Bay, right? I don't think it's gonna be 2000. What was that? The 2011 Eagles, and it went completely left when it was.
Oh yeah.
And that just went completely astray. Is it gonna be that good for Tampa Bay? Let's say everything, we get a season, everything is good. Are we sure this ain't too much at one time? Like, that's a lot to just flip over, especially in a sport like football. We just overhaul everything at once and we just get good.
Number one thing, I need for all the Bucks fans on this podcast right now to take your right hand and place it over your heart. And I need y'all to say it with a nice and clear voice. We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
We the people.
All right, now.
Here's the thing, right? I'm gonna go first on this.
Go first. Who wants to go first? Go ahead.
I'm gonna go first on this. First of all, they got a psycho as their leader. They got
that is true.
Like the football version of Mike and the Mamba, right? They've been breaking rules and regulations and getting that working. Okay. Secondly, you got the best to ever do it as well, with weapons that he's never quite been able to enjoy all at once in this fashion. He's had a Randy Moss before, Mike Evans. He's had guys that are less versions of Chris Godwin, and he's obviously had Gronk. He's never had all this together, right? And I think when you just take into account that he's going to have Gronk there as his security guard, I mean, as his security blanket, as his comfort zone, I don't see any way how this offense isn't the number one offense in the NFL. And that is just, I'm trying not to get too excited because this offense has got just potential through the roof. 2007 Patriots potential, 2013 Broncos potential. So I'm fully expecting this team to be the number one offense in the NFL. It's all gonna come down to how well can that secondary improve, and can the pass rush sustain their success from last year? That'll determine their overall success in January and February.
Okay.
But I think this offense is going to be flying.
Right. So,
Vic.
so to go off a little bit of what Mo was saying, that's exactly, I think that's the only path to take. If I remember correctly, that 2011 Eagles team, there was parts coming from everywhere. They did this free agent signing, this free agent signing, this free agent signing. The thing with the Bucks is that this team has already been together, right?
Right.
The only obstacle you have now is the quarterback, right? The most important position. But who is that guy that if you had to just bring in out of nowhere and just put him on your football team, who is the best choice for that spot? And that's number 12.
Mm-hmm.
One of the most disciplined, one of the most mentally prepared, best leaders I have ever seen. So it's a great question. But like I said, they have the leader and they have a team that's already been united. Mike Evans knows his role. Chris Godwin knows his role. Surprisingly, you still got Howard and Brate still on the football team. So with Gronkowski, this might be another subject, and Mo might disagree with me. I would not be shocked if he's not the Gronkowski of 4 or 5 years ago. I think that he will improve their blocking scheme, though. He will be that number 6 beef offensive lineman that will be very important to that running game and to that protection. I think that role is something that he's going to be playing a lot more of, kind of like what Witten was doing for the Cowboys here at the end. And still let Howard and Brate, work up the field and stuff like that. Now, he is going to get some pass catching opportunities, but I would not be shocked if Gronkowski is one of their number one full-time blocking tight end on the roster. So it's a great question, bro. But I that's one of the least of my worries.
Y'all ready for this? All right. So, all right. Now, honestly, let me be real with y'all. First of all, when is the last time we talked about this briefly earlier? 2011 Patriots, where Brady utilized the 12 personnel, 2 receivers, 2 tight ends, and a running back. And he would methodically march up and down the field. After a throw or after a run, his hand is in his warmer, and it's all right, y'all. Let's get lined back up now. Hey, baby girl, wrap your hair up. It's gonna be a long night tonight. And y'all set? Oh no, y'all not set. Okay, that's 5 yards. But hey, go ahead, take that 9 route for me, bro. This is what we're gonna see this year. We're gonna see some of that this year, and when that happens, I just want everybody to know they're gonna be the number 1 offensive efficiency team in football this year. Because they have the quarterback that is going to minimize all of that. We don't even need big plays because the red zone doesn't scare Tom Brady. The red zone is the one place that you never have to worry about Tom Brady because he makes safe, efficient, effective throws. And now he has 2 guys who are athletically gifted enough for him to put the ball in certain places.
Right. He throwing the 2 NBA small forwards.
Bingo. Literally. And then Gronk in one-on-one situations, as we've seen, even with him not being Gronk from 2011, he is still one of the most tough guys to cover in a one-on-one situation with Brady as the quarterback. Because there is nobody who understands body positioning better than Tom Brady does. There's nobody who understands Gronk better.
Jeremy, real quick. One thing that you mentioned is the 12 personnel. That is something that is a staple of the Bruce Arians offense, especially in Tampa Bay is where they use two tight ends and then the 2 receivers. That's going to be one of their most used plays. I guarantee you at the end of the season, you're going to see in the charts, 12 personnel is going to be their highest personnel package used, where they'll have both of those tight ends, both receivers on there. And that Brady loves those packages right there.
Who's the second tight end?
OJ Howard.
And
O.J.
Cameron
Howard.
Braid. And Cameron Braid.
Or
Cameron Braid.
It's gonna be one of them.
Because
They got-
Cameron Braid was the more reliable target last year.
He sure
Right.
was.
Listen, if
He sure-
OJ Howard can't work with Tom Brady, he'll be on the bench. Don't worry.
Hmm.
Don't worry. He'll be playing for New England by the middle of the season.
Yeah, if he doesn't perform, absolutely.
Hey,
Watching
hey,
balls go over his
hey,
head by Cam Newton.
Big Shot, you've said it before. Sometimes you just got to take those players. You got to say, hey, you come sit next to me. That's what Brady going to do to OJ Howard. Hey, you come sit next to me, and we're going to organize this real quick.
Brady,
If you ain't going to do it, then we going to, Cameron, you ready? All right. That's what
Well, see, to me,
you'll see that there's potential in OJ, and he's going to try to work with him. He's going to try to get the best out of him, and then we'll see what happens from there.
OJ is a deer. Bro, OJ is a better version of Gronkowski as a route runner and everything. The difference is what we have to see from OJ is he got to bring his hands to the party. If he brings those hands, that's it. It's nothing that they're going to be able to do with OJ Howard. That is a deer. That is a Bambi.
Me personally with the Bucks, I hope with us bringing all these guys in, and we got Shady McCoy too. And we got Shady.
See, to me, Trav, okay,
I hope we just don't end up like the Washington Redskins when they had Dion and Bruce Smith and all those folks like that. I hope we just don't end up like that.
You missed it. That's what Big Shot's question was can it be like?
Yeah, I just hope we just don't end up like that. Over the hill names, but yet we got names. No, we come to play ball.
Go ahead,
Yeah.
We look for a Super Bowl.
I think there's 3 elements to look at when it comes to the Buccaneers offense. And A, the play action in the Bruce Arians scheme is vital. And Tom Brady in play action is very, very good and very effective. And with Gronk being there, it's going to open up the playbook even more when it comes to what they can do out of play action. The second element that's good is the depth of his targets. He's not used to doing these quick 3-step drops and having somebody open 15 yards downfield. If you notice when they had AB for that one game, for that one just destroyance.
You pointed that out to me, by the way, Mo.
Because it was so obvious to me. Obviously, I've been watching Brady his whole career, so it just stood out to me that he was able to do a quick 3-step drop and release it. And Antonio Brown was already 15 yards downfield, and had Brady throw. I mean, it was almost behind him because Brady was like, "What? How'd you get there so fast?" Because when you look at what Edelman, when he's doing those routes, it's 3 steps, throw. But when he had AB for that one game, it was 3 steps, throw. And with Mike Evans and Chris Godwin, you give Brady a guy who can diagnose and understand what a defense is doing and process what they're doing faster than anybody else. When you get him Evans and Godwin, who he can take a quick 3-step drop and complete a 15-yard post route, that is something that is going to just hopefully, if that becomes the bread and butter, if a 15-yard post route or a 22 or a 15-yard, or I'm sorry, if a 15-yard post or an 18-yard comeback or a 12-yard out becomes the bread and butter of this offense. Whew. The only missing element is what's going to be the production of the running backs. That's the only question mark on this football team, because everything else is a go.
Hello? Is that you, Le'Veon? You said you don't want to play over there with the Jets anymore. You said you want to play with the GOAT.
No, man.
Oh.
Don't do that to me. Don't do that to me.
Don't get his heart racing.
That's gonna go what Big Shot is saying. Now you're getting pieces from all angles that now need to gel together. That's gonna be tough. The Shady McCoy signing, we're not big on that.
No, I'm not excited about that anyway.
You know the reason why? You know the reason why I say Le'Veon is a great pick? Because he fits into exactly to what Bruce Arians already does.
Oh no, he knows the offense.
He knows the entire offense. Number one, he knows the entire offense. Number one, he is the premier running back in the league still to me when it comes to a in shape basis. Le'Veon Bell has been in 15 play drives and has touched the ball on 9 of those plays and been on for the entire drive. Mm-hmm. That dude is insane. It ain't gonna be no wasted motion. It's gonna be that 1, 2. All right, let's get this hole right quick. 10 yards. Hey Brady, let's go. And if they get that, and remember, Le'Veon is the guy who they compare Mixon to out of the draft because of his ability to line up outside. You give Brady a dude that he can put a base personnel package out and spread the field and say go. Now you got a running back who can run a post route, a running back who can run a flag route or something. That's crazy. Mm-hmm. That's all That's all his offense needs is a 4-yard guy and a guy who can run a post route. And if they get that, I just want everybody to know we don't bring out the guitar and we just gonna start singing to y'all because I'm gonna sing to y'all.
Man, listen.
It's gonna sound good too.
So is this? I ain't gonna say foregone conclusion because nothing's ever a foregone conclusion. Mm-hmm. Is this pretty much Seattle and Tampa at this point?
No.
No, because Minnesota's a wild card. Green Bay's a wild card. The Saints are a wild card.
San Francisco is still a good team.
San Francisco, Arizona. We don't know what Arizona's going to be. I mean, think about the NFL. The best team don't always win.
Correct. Right. That's why. Yeah.
Yeah. So if I was a betting man and you said, Mo, make a bet, yeah, I'd probably take Seattle and Tampa. Or I'll be honest with you, we might get Drew Brees versus Tom Brady 3 times this year.
That's what I want. That's what I want.
You know, it's. But I think it is a foregone conclusion that Tampa will be in the NFC Championship.
I'm with Jerm. I'm gonna tell you like this, Jerm, and I'm kind of siding with you. I'm kind of done with the whole. Don't nobody want to play the Saints in the Dome in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm done with that.
Drew Brees, like
facts.
I've lost all trust in Drew Brees as a playoff quarterback. And
turn up the volume. Go ahead.
Y'all know the game way more than I do. I just have seen this too many times. I've seen too many games of all of a sudden, I don't know if it's that he looks skittish. I don't know if all of a sudden he can't see certain. I don't know what happens. Y'all can probably explain it way better than I can.
You ready? Oh, go. Sorry. Go ahead. Sorry.
But I've seen it. So I don't think we getting bruised. I don't think we getting Brees Brady 3 times because I don't know. I just don't have any trust in him as a quarterback. As in that, I don't know what happens. Somebody can explain this to me. I don't know, but I don't trust it anymore.
Go ahead, Germ.
Michael Thomas had, if I'm correct, Mo, can you check this because I'm doing this from the top of my head, sir?
Yeah.
Michael Thomas had 7 catches for 70 yards in that game last year against the Minnesota Vikings. He's going to confirm that. 7 catches. Okay?
In the playoffs?
Yes.
Last game.
Their last game.
or was that one of those 4 for 36 games?
It sounded about right.
Here it is. 7 for 70.
Y'all, that's nasty.
7 for 70.
Y'all don't do this at home. So look, I want y'all to understand this. That's 7 for 70. Does it tell you how many targets it was? Was the target number 11? Was it 11 targets?
He has it right there in front of him, trying to play with us.
No.
First of all, I am not the most expert at looking up stats. All right,
it's okay.
But NFL.com apparently doesn't give you the targets of the game.
Oh, go to Football Reference.
Which is sad, but
Yeah, they're terrible with numbers.
Yeah, I know.
Okay, so here go. I just want to kind of expand on this real quick. Why I don't trust it. And Vic, y'all who understand offensive football a lot better.
We're gonna do that, and we're gonna let you
Explain
explain
this
that. I'm gonna get that, and then we're gonna do the top 100. So go ahead.
I don't like the Saints offense because it's too lopsided for me. I don't like it when it's Mike Thomas got 8 catches for whatever yards, and the next dude got 3. Like, to me, as great as Michael Thomas is, despite the slander we give him, that shit is too lopsided for me.
Well, that plays
Like,
a lot. Go ahead, my fault. I don't know.
No, go ahead. I mean, obviously that's the way the offense is set up. He's open clearly, so whatever. I just think, like, to me, when you get in the playoffs, if I didn't got a week or 2 weeks to figure this out, that this dude gonna get the ball 10 times. All we gotta do is pretty much turn the water off on everybody else, and then the little short quarterback gonna struggle. We gonna win the game. I don't know. Maybe that's just me, but I think it's too lopsided for me.
Well, here's the thing that you got to remember: the catalyst to their success is Alvin Kamara. So what you'll notice is Alvin Kamara gets double teamed out of the backfield or wherever he is on the field. So when Alvin Kamara has 18 or more touches, the Saints have only lost 2 to 3 games. However, when Alvin Kamara has less than that, the Saints normally lose, but they're closer to 500 when Michael Thomas gets 11 catches or 10 plus catches than they are closer to when Kamara gets his numbers or gets his touches. So the biggest thing is Michael Thomas is not even the mismatch. It's Alvin Kamara.
Right.
And that's what we got to understand in general for the Saints offense, because Alvin Kamara is the safe throw for Drew Brees in the first place. And Michael Thomas runs, like Vic is probably getting ready to talk about, the safest routes. The routes that are in the first window. That means the slants, the drags, and all those other things. So if you're running routes that are in the first window and allows the quarterback to read and go, he's physical enough to get off the press and those type of things, you're going to keep your offense on schedule and he's going to get targets and volume. But the principle is, bro, that team is never going to be able to do more until they get another running mate with him, number one, because all they're going to do is send Ted Ginn or the fastest player that they have on offense up the seam to try to get rid of a safety.
Well, they got 7-11 2.0. Don't forget that.
Now they got Emmanuel. No, that's great. That's great. But he won't be hitting him. So the point I'm trying to make is they're going to still go to Michael Thomas. I'm just saying, with all that being said, and y'all know how much I love Emmanuel Sanders. That route he ran in the Super Bowl where Jimmy Garoppolo was float on, and he missed them. That move he put on them was ridiculous. But what I'm saying is the Saints offense is really predicated on the success of the tight end and the running back position. And that is the staples for the Drew Brees offense. Remember those two guys aren't playing well, the receivers are whatever.
Remember, Jerm, the Sean Payton offense has a mix of a lot of things. That's why he's always been considered one of the better offensive coaches in the league. He has a little bit of an EMP, and he has a bit of West Coast.
And air raid.
And the air raid. So what happens is when you got a receiver like Michael Thomas, right? Every offense, no matter what the system is, they're gonna have that receiver that can attack the deeper levels. You're gonna have the receivers that can attack the middle, and you're gonna have the guys that can attack the lower levels of the field, right?
Right.
Michael Thomas, because of we're not gonna take away from the fact that he is one of the strongest receivers in the league.
Correct.
One of the more physical and one of the very strong, beautiful hands. But he is not one of the fastest players. They let Teddy Ginn do the deeper routes. So what happens is if you got a guy like as fast as Teddy Ginn, regardless of how good he is or not, somebody that can fly, you have to account for that. There has to be a safety that's going to protect over the top for that. So Michael Thomas has that window in the middle and lower levels of the field to work with, and he's great at it. So that's why you're going to see a high volume towards him, because the EMP, like I said before earlier in the show, starts from the bottom up. Lower levels where the running backs are working, middle levels where the receivers and tight ends are working. And that's where Breeze, because of the fact that he just doesn't have the arm like he used to, if he ever did, to throw deep, he's gonna look in the middle. He's gonna look in the lower parts of the field. And that's why him and the Michael Thomas, Alvin Kamara connections is so great.
Right. Like he's been struggling to throw those corner routes over and over and over. And if you remember that Minnesota game, maybe that's the case. But if you remember the Minnesota Miracle game, well, I guess twice, right? But the one with Stephon Diggs, they got off to it was like 24-7 after the first quarter, because it took that Saints offense a while to get going because Minnesota was so locked in on just taking away what he knows how to do. And that has not gotten better.
That was that cover 2 defense at the time too.
Right. So is that a function of like coming? Again, my lack of trust. It seems like this happens frequently when we get later in the year. And is that just a function of we just have, hey, we got 2 weeks to look at you and we just know what you're gonna do?
No, it's the playoffs. So remember how we talk about okay. Let's break it down in terms of NBA play, right? We're going to use Trav's favorite play, the hammer. Yeah, Trav, I'm in 94 bag now. Don't worry. So now we take the hammer play. We got our first read. We got our second read. We got our third read. We got our fourth read, right? When we take away the first read, that means you automatically have to go to the second read. The problem is the shot clock. How many people are going to process this information fast enough? In basketball, you got a 24-second shot clock. In football, you got 3.5 seconds, if that, to be able to get this ball off, to make sure that something good happens, or get the ball out because you're going to get pressure. Right. So in this situation, if I take away the first read, I need to be able to diagnose this first read at pre-snap. I need to understand pre-snap that the first read is not going to be open, so I'm already going to my second and third reads. Drew Brees is so reliant on his first read because that's the read that's been open all season. So it's now muscle memory for him to do certain things, opposed to Brady, who's used to waiting for certain things to happen so he can make something happen. That's why you notice at the line of scrimmage, he's always identifying everything that's going on around you. He's able, there's a play that Mo showed me and Vic in the Chiefs game, where Tyrann Mathieu was in the slot. He's in the slot in a good stance, no body leaning, no body movement. And Brady moves James White from his left hip to his right hip and points at him and says, he's coming, pick him up. And sure enough, when he snapped the ball, Tyrann Mathieu came. You are now watching a master at work. That's different. That's what Breeze, Aaron Rodgers, and none of these other quarterbacks but Peyton Manning is able to do. That's why Drew Brees will not win another Super Bowl as long as there is another 12 in the league by the name of Tom Brady, period.
In his division now.
And he's in your division. Hey, he in your house.
You might as well opt out.
Hey, check this out. Y'all was talking about the running backs.
Say opt out.
Y'all was talking about the running backs a little bit a while ago. There is an unhappy customer in San Francisco.
Hey, let me tell you something.
I would love to have.
Mostert is nice. I'm going to be honest with y'all. Mostert is nice.
He's very unhappy at San Francisco.
And he deserves to be. But you know the issue with Mostert and why he didn't play is because he had a trouble holding on to that football. And that's something that I will worry about.
This past Super Bowl, and the NFC Championship.
He's cold, though. Oh, he's nice. Oh, he's nice.
What more could you ask? He outperformed your starter. He outperformed Cole.
Well, to be honest with you, they just put those other guys in to warm it up for him. Like they literally just take those guys out there to keep him fresh.
They were listed as starters and just to warm up the field for
Mostert was Lou Williams.
Literally.
I like him.
Pepper Lou.
Hey, big shot. That's what I'm talking about right there.
Hey, Vic, let me ask you something real quick. I know Vic is running back guy. And I know we talk about how that position has been the value to the level it's been the value for evolution of the game. Jerm said Mostard is nice. All right, cool. Is Mostard like I'm top 10 in the league on another team nice? Because I know San Francisco has a really good O-line and the way they scheme up stuff. Is Mostard that somewhere else?
So okay, so the issues with Mostard is that he's still not a very good blocker, and he doesn't provide much in the passing game. So if you create a scenario where all his only responsibility is to run the football, you're gonna get one of the better running backs in the league.
Okay.
He's not top 10, but what he is top 25. When it comes down to sheer talent, he's a top 25 talent. So why I say top 25 is because there are teams that got 3 good running backs on their team. So we got to make sure we understand that it's levels to that. But Mostard is a exceptional. What he's good at is he's exceptionally quick. He's exceptionally decisive. He understands everything he's been doing. So I think it's just a lot of things that we can talk about with the Mostard player in general. So I think overall, what you have here is you have a player who could potentially add to a team that needs a solid running back as their guy. Go ahead, Mo.
The thing is that Mostard, like, there's not even a handful of running backs that can go anywhere and be productive. There's maybe only 2 or 3 guys who can go anywhere and be productive, and anywhere that has a decent offensive line at that. Mostard falls in the category of 97% of good running backs in the NFL, which is the situation has got to be right for me to be right. If the San Francisco 49ers were 4-12, nobody would ever know who Raheem Mostard is. Even if he did have a game of 18 carries, 170 yards, we'll forget about him by next Sunday. And so I think Mostard, if for him to maximize his value, maximize his potential, there are only but a few places he can go for that. And San Francisco is one, obviously. Tampa Bay is one, certainly. Kansas City, another one. Atlanta, maybe even with all those skill positions, but I don't trust Matt Ryan anymore. Philly, 1,000%. So there's only but a handful of teams that he can go to for him to be maximized with his potential.
When has Matt Ryan been trusted?
2016.
Okay. All right.
2016.
So you know what?
2016. 2016, Matt Ryan, everything clicked. The timing was there, the drive of the football was there, the confidence was there, everything was there in 2016. And ever since then, it's just been a steady decline. Very
is that a 28-3 year?
Yes, indeed it is, my friend.
Real quick. Back to Drew Brees, Ron. We have a play in the vote that we haven't taken out, and it's that play that was called against them, where the running back got hit in the backfield. Was it a running back?
Talking about the Los Angeles Rams play?
Yeah, was it? Yeah, against the Rams. Where what was it that happened? The
no call?
Yeah, the no call where the safety took the running back out.
Nah, bro, we broke that down on the live the very next week.
When did we break that down?
On the very next week.
We broke that down the next week, bro, because we broke down what's his name?
Trey Lewis?
Number 10. No, we broke down number 10 running what they call a post route, but he actually cut the route short in the end zone and was actually available for Drew Brees. And
when the hell did this happen?
Okay, so if you remember, Vic, that year, we went live multiple times on YouTube, and that's when YouTube allowed you to go live through Hangouts.
Correct.
And all our pregame shows that playoff season, we did film for the first 10, 15, 20 minutes. And that was one of the plays that we broke down on the live.
And I was when I was at the bar doing the show. I was at my bar doing
That's
the show.
right.
I thought we were doing it together in one of our film studies, but that's one play, Ron, where it just seems like when it comes to the playoffs, Drew Brees seems to get like it's a physical mental thing within him. He just the line of sight goes from here to like the pressure gets to him mentally, what he sees and how he probably grips the ball, and it's all kinds of things. Like, for example, the difference between Tiger Woods and the next golfer when Tiger was in his prime is just he was able to control how his body held the golf club, how tight, like he was able to control everything, and he would still be able to perform like if he was in the first hole and in the 18th hole. It's the same thing with football. Drew Brees just probably grips the ball a little bit tighter when he's nervous. He doesn't see the same, the field the same when he's nervous. It's
Definitely.
A lot of factors, man. There's a lot of factors when it comes to things like that.
Hey, that was Big Shot's question, is that like he doesn't trust him and he's not exactly sure why. His trigger fingers turn into Twitter fingers. That's the best way we can break it down for you. And he gets shy. He gets hesitant. He gets tight. Where if you look at the standard of Tom Brady, whether he's throwing in the preseason or whether he's throwing in the Super Bowl, the motion, the energy, the drive, the mechanics, it's all the same.
Same.
So,
Listen, I want to break that play down again, bro, because I want to stress how he missed that kid on his left side. He was open before the snap.
Yeah.
Yes, because there was
the snap.
So quarterback read 101. If there's nobody covering this player, we need to watch that player that nobody's covering.
I mean, look, as much as the NFL has evolved into becoming this very sophisticated league with sophisticated offenses and more complex defensive schemes, sometimes it comes down to, is anybody covering on this side? So if I got two eligible receivers and I got one eligible defender, somebody's gonna get open. And the pre-snap look on that play, everything said throw left. And he threw right and he threw late.
To a running back, again, like I said with the EMP system, where they read the running backs first.
No, he didn't throw it to a running back. He threw it to Higgins, number 11, the small guy.
So Vic, I'm sorry. This is I don't, before you keep going. I'm sorry. I just have to get this record straight. With the EP, ideally it's exactly what you're saying. On the Tom Brady's EP, you read the safeties first and foremost.
So, but what year? It was like every year it was like that, or
that's like 2011. Like 2011 and back. That's 2011 on.
Even when they did the Football Life with Belichick and they had that pre-safety, that meeting, he's always talked about he reads the safeties first. And then I watched this video of a Bill O'Brien coaches thing, and he was on the board, and this was like 2013, and he was talking about the EMP when he was in New England, and he mentioned the same thing, that they read the safeties first.
Well, see, so to me, what I've heard, a lot of the vertical offenses, like the Bruce Arians offense, is where they start reading from the safeties on down. So that's a great, we're gonna have to get into some more research with that one too. That's a great point
for sure
to bring up because, again, from what I understand with the EMP, it's a very running back heavy offense. The running game is number one first and foremost. Whether you're handing the ball off or you're passing, is where the EMP is like the staple of the EMP is what the running backs are doing. But again, the EMP has involved a lot when it comes to the Patriots, Tom Brady and the Patriots. So, that's something, we could definitely look into and talk about. I mean, those, I'm a nerd for those type of studies.
We will never see the EP ran in the way it's been ran the last 15 years in New England. We'll never see it again.
And EP and EMP standing for what?
Earnhardt
Just the names of the guys who came up with it. Earnhardt Perkins.
The Earnhardt Perkins system, which very few offenses, and this is another thing that people need to understand, very few offenses run that specific offense. That's the Patriots, the Texans and somewhat what the Saints do, because of how sophisticated, how complicated it is. There's not a lot of quarterbacks that can run it, and that's one thing that makes Tom Brady so great is how he was able to excel significantly. And let me not forget Peyton Manning, and that offense ran a lot of the EMP as well.
See, the thing is like there's only so many routes and so many blocking schemes and so many trees and so many route combinations that you can do on any given play. So most, whether it's the West Coast, the Coryell, or the EP, it's all basically the same thing. Where it varies is one scheme will have more option route, and also more importantly, the language is different.
Yes.
And that's usually what it comes down to. But for the most part, that's why we don't get, like, when people say, he's a system quarterback, you ask them what do they mean by that, and usually you're going to get the same bland vanilla answer. And you just want to politely say, stop wasting your data making pointless points, because everything is the same. The only difference comes down to language and different variations of routes and option routes. That's it.
Hey Mo, I got a question. Is every quarterback in the NFL a system quarterback though?
I mean, for the most part, yeah.
You have to have some type. You got to know this particular system in order to run it. That's why I don't get. I understand what you're saying, okay. And I say that myself, and I'm like, why are you talking about this guy here fits in the same system? But every quarterback is a system quarterback.
Well, for the most part.
Here's the thing. Yeah. Every quarterback is a scheme-oriented quarterback, meaning it's scheme-oriented, meaning to their talents. So if you got a guy with a big arm, you're going to see air raid. You're going to see more air Coryell type of thing. So Joe Flacco, for example. Joe Flacco has no business running a damn West Coast offense. He's strictly an air Coryell offense type of guy that you want to see. He has a bigger arm. He's better in the intermediate, deeper routes. But then you come back with a guy like, say, Drew Brees. Drew Brees running the EP is perfect for him because running the air Coryell would not be good for his skill set, his talent, right? So that's the issue in general with those type of things. It's not necessarily system quarterback. I think scheme is predicated on the abilities of the quarterback. And that's what you have to understand. And that's why a lot of coaches fail, because they try to just bring in guys to fit their system or what they play, when you have to dictate what they play based on what the quarterback's skill set is. So if you notice, now we're going to use Lamar Jackson as a case. Lamar Jackson and those guys with the Ravens. Lamar Jackson is not a polished passer. That is not a thing that we got to act like we don't know. But what they did was they said, we're going to do more things from the pistol offense, and we're going to do way more things where we're going to not only are we going to make sure that we run the ball more and do a lot of things because he did an exceptional job with handling the football. We're going to make sure that we do a lot of drag concepts, a lot of flood concepts, and things that forces him to read one part of the field. Every route eventually is going to end up on the left side of the formation or the right side of the formation, wherever it is that he's going to be at. So what they did was they brought an offense that was tailor-made for this guy, and they used those things and they let those things be what they were to allow the quarterback to succeed. That is what you have to do as a coach. That is why John Harbaugh is one of the best coaches in the NFL, because he adjusts to his personnel. And that right there, gentlemen, is why we're getting to the stage now, because we have to make sure that we understand those things in general. And this is why I don't want to use the word system, because system is such a negative word in this particular instance. But hey, it is what it is. But I'm gonna say skill set and scheme are the most important parts.
Man, I wish my boy had a system.
Who's that?
Boy?
My boy in Houston, man, he getting done dirty,
man.
Well, he runs a variation of the EP because Bill O'Brien is his coach. But the problem is, Deshaun's problem is, Deshaun has two problems. One of them is his, and the other one is Bill O'Brien. Bill O'Brien is a terrible general manager, and they need to have somebody else do that job. Because when it comes to talent and evaluating, he's not very good at that. And that
what was the first problem? What was the first problem?
No, his second problem is on him. he needs to be a lot more decisive with some of his decisions. Some of his plays, he makes bad reads late that he could have made at the beginning. And what he does sometimes is he doesn't trust what he initially sees. But I take that as a testament to him being a young quarterback. We talk about it every week with me and Mo. Me and Mo argue about quarterbacks every week about different small nuances every week. But it's not a bad
It's
thing.
true.
It's just small things that we argue about because we understand, you know what? Boom, this has to be this. This has to do this. Do we have to do with this? We have to do this. We have to understand that the quarterback play is strictly all about the quarterback being able to do what they do best. And Watson is great at doing everything that pertains to reading a defense. The issue is he's always on his back. We can't have that.
And that's my thing with him. Like, I think that kid is so talented.
Mm-hmm.
And he's really talented. And it's overused term to say somebody is competitive, right? That's real overused.
Mm-hmm.
But he carried them through that Buffalo game in the playoffs.
He did.
Like that's as close to a dude carrying you through a football game as you're gonna get. And I feel like they doing him such a disservice. Even pre-trading DeAndre Hopkins, I think they doing that kid such a disservice down there that unfortunately I feel like we gonna see the best out of him when he like 30. Because
that's not a bad age.
It's not
either,
a bad thing, but I feel like his prime year, like him and Mahomes is about the same age, right? Like a year different.
Mm-hmm.
Not that he could do maybe some of the things that Patrick Mahomes can do, but I think it would be so. I just think he's just getting, to me, they're wasting the early parts of his career in Houston right now with that whole setup. To me, all right, because he's actually right now my favorite quarterback in the league.
Yeah, that's fine with me.
That Houston team smacked Kansas City the first quarter.
Well,
Jesus.
Houston is just a team with certain deficiencies and a team that's not yet quite built for modern NFL football. It's a team that's just lacking. It's just a team that's lacking. It's just a team that's lacking.
They have a lot of those in between players. Like you got those players that's like Whitney Merciless. Is a good player, don't get me wrong, but it's like he's in between being really good and good. So you don't really know.
Right. Whitney Merciless would have been really good in 2004. 2020, we're gonna need you to do a little more than what you can do. Even though he's a good pass rusher. So Whitney is more a 4-3 guy than a 3-4 outside linebacker, in my opinion.
How y'all feel about Will Fuller?
Keep him on the field. The man is too fast for his own body.
Well,
he just can't stay healthy.
Right.
He hit that hamstring.
He was a perfect compliment to DeAndre Hopkins, and now all of a sudden, he's the number one receiver?
No, Brandon Cooks.
No, Brandon Cooks is.
Brandon
Cooks. I mean,
let me say this: Brandon Cooks ain't the number one receiver. It's going to end up being Kenny Stills by the end of the year.
I hope not.
Bunch of B receivers.
I mean, look, Brandon Cooks. Before we move on, Brandon Cooks is a very, very good receiver. Okay, the fact that it's more amazing to me that he got traded twice for a first-round pick than the fact that he's on his fourth different NFL team or fourth different NFL team. but it, like, how much value does Brandon Cooks really bring to your football team? That's the only thing about it, and it's such a mystery how this guy was traded twice for a first-round picks and he's getting paid because he's good. He's very good. It's just that he's not going to bring that much value to your football team. That's all.
So, with that being said, what I suggest more moving forward is, man, let's do some research. Let's make sure we understand what we're watching, y'all, because sometimes we can't be out here just saying, "Oh, Brady is the football quarterback." So, what is Joe Montana? Anyway, So with that being said, what we're gonna do is we're gonna end up wrapping up the show here. We're gonna
Something
we got
fun.
coming up. Yes, we got some interesting stuff going on coming up soon. We got the top 100 reaction, where we're gonna put together a fine panel of gentlemen, and we're gonna dissect this top 100, and we're even gonna give y'all the top 5 quarterbacks in football. The top 5 quarterbacks in football, and I got a hint for y'all. It ain't gonna be who you think is gonna be in the top 5.
Well, I thought we doing that now.
No, let's save it for after the top 100, because the reason why we save it for the top 100 is because there's a quarterback that's not in the top 100 that is on the list. Remember?
Yes. Yes.
And
he's a once in a lifetime quarterback.
Not only that,
Winston Payne. That's what I'm doing right now. So
all three of us have a different top 5.
Yes.
And so mine is probably going to be the least agreed one by everybody.
Because it's going to be inaccurate.
That without giving away the show, do y'all have the same top 5 in a different order, or do y'all have 5 completely different people?
No. It's gonna be almost the same people.
There's going to be 7 quarterbacks mentioned in total between the three of us.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
Say no more.
Yes.
Hey.
I'm all for it. I'm all for
This will be fun. So with that being said, y'all, we got 94 feet on. We got Big Shot, and we got Trav. We got Views for the 22 Zone, Mo Schefter, Vic Jr., Germ So True. We on the scene, y'all. So with that being said, we're gonna wrap up the show. We out, y'all.
Cut.